Jessica. Nice to have you with us.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining the
Thank
Women
you.
in Engineering, Energy and Entrepreneurship conversation. And thank you for volunteering to have this chat with me to encourage the young girl child in STEM to probably follow your own path. So I'm going to ask the first question, which is, where are you located and how long have you been there?
Thank you, IB. My name is Jessica Chaine, working for the Uganda National Oil Company as the National Content Specialist, and I'm based all the way in Uganda. I was born here. I only lived a few years from here to study from the UK, 3 years, and I came back home. So Uganda has always been my home.
Wonderful. So this is East Africa.
Yes, it is in East Africa, and we have the equator as well, passes through my country. So when you want to come visit, come on, come. It is exciting times.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Could you tell me about yourself on a personal level? Do you have sisters, brothers, parents, and just something very personal, nothing professional, something on a personal level that a young girl child can relate with? Thanks.
Okay, I have brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, both my parents have passed. My mom passed last year in February. And but she was mature. She was 97 years, so we thank God for that. And then my dad passed when I was 9 years, but my mom has been such a wonderful cornerstone. I'm her last born, her baby, and all of us, she sent all of us to school. So that's where it is like women can do it all, even when they are on their own. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. So we are a big, happy family. And what is so interesting is that we are siblings, but we are very, very close. I mean, it's like siblings and best friends as well. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And how was schooling and your journey as a child?
Okay, as a child, I went to a primary school close to home, so which was there. But then when I went to secondary school, I went to a school that is far away from home, and I really missed home. But the beauty of it is like we're allowed to have visitors every month. So my family, I'm the last born in the family. So my big sisters and brothers and my mom, they would come to visit, and it would always be exciting. And then from there, I went to Makerere College School, where I had my A levels. By the way, I studied music for up to A level. So, and wow. Then from my A level, that's when I moved to the UK for 3 years. And then I came back to Uganda. I started working. My first job was in a television station, precisely setting it up.
Wow.
And it was really an exciting journey for me. So I was in the marketing department, and then from there, I went to development financing. And then from development financing is when I went to oil and gas.
Fantastic. Awesome. Can you please tell us what your discipline, what did you study in university? Because your career trajectory is so unique and unusual. It appears you've moved from television to marketing to finance to oil and gas. That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
So I studied corporate governance. And then from corporate governance, I came back to Uganda, and then I had a postgraduate in procurement. And so that is where I have the combination. But all the way from school, like I told you, I studied music. So being creative was always part of my life. Writing songs, poetry, debating. and all those things. So they sort of like come with the gifts are actually complementing my education. And I would say my gifts are actually doing a lot more for me than my education, because I am a person who believes that once you study something, it does not stop you from being something else. Like my boss at my first job in oil and gas was the head of legal and commercial, but he was a drilling engineer. So, and to me, those are the kind of stories that excite me. And I say, yes, once you have studied something, especially the STEM team, I would call them the STEM girls, you don't have to limit yourself to only looking at engineering jobs. The education you have can actually propel you to all different sectors, because once you are a STEM, you can deal with anything. I submit.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a unique talent in the oil and gas industry, in the energy industry. So can you tell me, how did you discover your love for engineering or energy or entrepreneurship? Or which of them is strongest for you, and which of them do you have a love for, and how did you discover it?
Entrepreneurship and energy. Precisely, I can tell you something I didn't tell you. I was at one time one Miss Uganda. And so
wow, wow.
Before I moved to study in the UK, I was sort of like being invited to all these high profile events and all that. But I was famous, but the difference between me and the people I always used to share the table with was that they had the money and I did not. Yeah, we were all famous, but they had the money and I did not. So to me, that was really like my first time to say, yes, I have to get into entrepreneurship. And I really need to do it big, to get there, to be a somebody that I don't have. And I saw my mother also not relying on her main job for our upkeep. She was a teacher, but then she was also an investor. She had a wholesale shop selling fabric, and then she had real estate places where she would rent to other people. And so it sort of like came, and then she was a farmer. We had a farm at home, cows and coffee and whatever. So we grew up knowing that actually a person, you can be multifaceted, that you do not let your education to cramp you, but you can actually be whatever you want to be. Like if you are a STEM, it does not mean that you cannot sing or compose music or go into fashion and whatever. And to me, that is what really makes life exciting, that we study something, but we also have gifts, that these gifts are actually things that we can do and we enjoy them and we can actually get paid for them. I submit.
Fantastic. That's so interesting. Okay, can you just tell us what really, which areas of interest do you have in the Women in Engineering, Energy and Entrepreneurship LinkedIn group? Which of those, I mean, what would you like to see? What would you like to achieve? What do you think you are happy to contribute? And what do you want to do? And where do you want to, how do you want to see it impact lives and communities?
Okay, I can tell you that after I came back from UK, while I was doing the bank job, I still organized Miss Uganda events. I did not do that because of the money and whatever, but I really wanted to see other young girls, because when you enter such an industry, you are told everything, etiquette, self-esteem, how to dress, how to speak. And to me, it was like, really, it is not about getting a winner to go to the Miss World, Miss Universe. No, my goal was like this must, that if these young girls are trained to become something and really point them into the right direction, that this is the way to go, this is the direction to take for your life. And you see them even now, like after so many years, and you see success stories of these girls who, when you first meet them, they sort of like cannot speak well, they don't have dreams, they don't know how to carry themselves, they don't know what they want in life. But now you meet them, you are with them for a period of 3 to 4 months. And then after that, you meet them maybe a year later. Or young people is something, and that is where I am in entrepreneurship.
Sorry, I lost you for a few minutes. So can you talk about the young girls, having been with the young girls for 3 to 4 months? That's where I lost you.
Okay, like we would train these young girls for 3 to 4 months, but then at the end of it all, you train them on knowing really what they want in life, because all of us, the real question we have to ask ourselves is, why am I here? And what is my role in this world? What is the legacy I'm going to leave behind? And so, but most of us, I think, mainly from the African continent, many times we do not have proper career guidance in school, unlike the Western world, where a child all the way from primary, their talents are defined, identified, and then they point them into the right direction. Our end is like, most of the time is your grades decide which direction you're going to take. And so that is where I really started like building these young girls' self-esteem, pushing them into to ask themselves the right questions. Why am I here? What is my role in the world? And how can I contribute to making the world a better place? And once, as an individual, you can answer those 3 questions, definitely they keep on changing from time to time. It's like when you are 20 and when you are 30, I mean, your thought process completely is changed, but the focus should always be, I need to add value to the world and contribute to the existence of other people, because we were created all for relationships. And that is where really, I would really encourage the STEM girls to actually look at that, not look at themselves like, I'm a girl, there are these things I can or cannot do, but to look at themselves and say, yes, I am a human being created to add value to this world. I mean, you can imagine here in Uganda, we have some ladies who are truck drivers, but how they got to become truck drivers is like, everybody thinks it is a male world. How can a woman be a truck driver? And yet they are doing wonderful, amazing jobs. Yeah, they are transporting all medicines throughout the country. They are doing all sorts of things. So, and so going back, that you have to find a passion. Me, my passion really, I'm into real estate. I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to put bricks together, but I know what kind of home I want for my tenants to have. And so I tell people that this is what I want. And somebody else who has the capability and the ability to put it together, puts it together for me. And I say, okay, it looks good on AutoCAD. Now let's get to do that work. And so that is all what we need to do. We cannot do everything, but once you have a passion for something, you can get it done and get the people who have the experience and the skill to do the work for you. I don't even go out to collect the rent. I give that to somebody else who is doing it at a commission, and that person has to make sure the money comes in every month, because if it does not come in, they are not going to earn. And so these are the kind of things you say when you have a passion for something, see how you can do it as a synergy, not necessarily that you have to do everything yourself. I submit.
Fantastic. You were speaking like Miss Uganda. And you were speaking like somebody who has, and you were speaking like somebody who has gone through life in a very diverse way. And I think that's a very useful advice for young girls, that they don't have to be in a box, and you don't necessarily have to be a STEM talent to end up in engineering, energy, or entrepreneurship. And I think I'm glad you're one of the first people we're interviewing, because most of the other people are engineers. So yours is a unique story. And I also like the fact that you're emphasizing self-discovery for STEM girls and young professionals, because if they don't get the core right, which is who am I and what am I really doing on earth, it'll be very, very difficult for them to unleash their potential, their talent, and their passion. So I think that was a very interesting answer, because it's so unique, it's different. You were speaking like Miss Uganda there, not like that.
Thank you. And if I can add something, really, in life, even the STEM, we had the person who was MTN when they first came to Uganda, the MTN, the telephone network. Their marketing guy, I had never seen a person who is so passionate about marketing, who got MTN like running from first day. And they sort of like got this company into everybody's face and ears and excitement, and getting 1 million customers just in the 5-6 months. But the guy was an engineer. And so you could imagine, he's an engineer, but he had a passion for marketing, and he just did a brilliant job. So fantastic. That's, when you are a STEM, you can do so much. You can do so much, and there's no area where science and technology do not happen, whether it is cutting hair, whether it is cutting fabric, whether it is designing shoes, whether it is, creating makeup, furniture, everything. Yeah, so it is like we need to be open-minded. And like I've seen a little video by John Maxwell, where he talks about this little boy who was fishing, and then when he would get a big fish, he would throw it back into the lake, and when he would get a small one, he would keep it. And so somebody who was observing him after some time came and asked him, why? I've seen it is always the other way around. People keep their big fish and they throw back the small one. And he says, no, I have a 7-inch pan. So he was getting fish that could fit in the 7-inch. But the bottom line is what Dr. John Maxwell said, that really human beings, many of us are like that, but instead of throwing the pan away and buy a bigger pan, we always focus on the what? And then that is only the small fish we can get. But now that is the mindset side of things, that once you are a STEM, don't say, I am just STEM. You can be STEM and a musician. You can be STEM and an artist. You can be STEM and be a designer of clothes and all those sorts of things. Yeah. And to me, that is what makes life really exciting. Like my mother used to say that there are so many beautiful things in the world, but if you have something that you don't like, even if it is a plate in your house or a painting, throw it away. because you need to have things that excite you. And that is what brought me really into the energy sector, because it was new, it was exciting. And I said, wow, I need to work for this exploration and whatever, because all that we knew in my country was the downstream. So I said, now I have to get into the upstream, understand what this means and that and that. And you know, for the first 6 months, I really invested in reading. And that is where many people really fail. Reading has to be a culture. And don't just read things that are about you, read things to be informed about everything around you, because as human beings, you may be working in one industry, but all other industries concern you. Yeah, so for instance, like you are an engineer, but you need to eat. So the food industry excites you. Transport has to excite you. Theater and art has to excite you. Current affairs has to excite you. Politics, you have to be in the know of the environment you are in and how you can tap into it. And to me, that is something that made me, so I read a lot. And when I went for the first interview, there were 2 people who are actually already in the company. They also had applied for the same job. I was just entering the sector. And I got that job. I became their boss. And so, but it is not that, but it is that like mindset, how you think about something. You know, because when we were for the interview, the last one, because we had to go through a series of interviews. So when we were for the last one, we had remained 4 people. And now one of the ladies told me that, you know what? The other 2, this interview is just for window dressing. The other 2 people are already inside the company, and you and me are the only outsiders, but most probably they just want to show the Petroleum Authority that they had a fair and whatever. And I told her, you know what? You don't know what is going to come out. So me, I went in there. I said, I want this job. I gave it my best. I prayed. I believe in God. I prayed and I said, Holy Spirit, go before me. I need to get this job. And indeed, I did get a job. So when I asked the HR person that, why did you actually give me that job above these other 2 people who are already in the industry and whatever. And then they told me, you know, it is your boss who said you are the one we have to take. And so, but when I went for my first day at work, you know, that guy I'm telling you, a drilling engineer who was heading the rig and commercial department, he told me, Jessica, if you want to succeed, you have to forget everything you learned and learn afresh. Yeah.
Wow.
And so to me, that was, I mean, the guy was brilliant and intelligent. That's why I'm telling you, he could work across board. And so I said, okay. So I had to go back to, yeah, I took his advice. Yeah. I mean, you know, that oil and gas language is completely different from the rest of the world. And so I had to learn. So after the 6 months at my probation, he told me that, Jessica, I know you have done a good job, but I don't give people 100%. Wow, that was so exciting for me. And I said, okay. And then from that, I learned, and the organization also told me about oil and gas. So after about 8 months, I could speak the oil and gas language. I knew when they talked about a Christmas tree or a monkey head, I knew what they meant. I could understand all those abbreviations, the TCM, SEM, whatever. I could understand all those, but all it took is I was intentional. I took my boss's advice and I had to learn. So that is also another thing for young people, that many times we come with a school education, yeah, but the workplace and what we learned in class, Sometimes it's completely different. The application is completely different from how we were doing it. And so you need to learn, what is my boss telling me? Yeah. And if they are telling you, sometimes it is even our good things that are actually our challenges. Like, you know me, I have this concept. There are people who are bathers, they bath things. And then there are those who are nurturers, they nurture things. And then there are those who are runners, they run with things. Yeah. Now, when you bath something, a runner and a nurturer would completely look at it from a different perspective. So for instance, if you have a baby there, the nurturer will look at, oh, how do I make this baby eat the right food and the right whatever for them to be able to grow well. A runner would say, oh, I have to buy the baby clothes, I have to whatever. So they look at things from a different perspective. And so how do you get this person who is a nurturer to actually know that actually this baby, yes, you feed them, but you also have to dress them? And also, how do you get a runner to know that, by the way, when a child asks you for a cake for dinner, you just don't give it to them. You need to give them a proper diet for them to be able to grow well. And once you understand the team you're working with, and also you understand yourself, where am I strong? Some people are strong in many different perspectives, but some people are very strong in others that the others are sort of like whatever, because there are people who just come up with ideas. The STEM especially, they come with ideas. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. But taking the idea to maturity sometimes is a challenge. So how do you learn those other skills to be able to, and then you find that there are some people who cannot birth, but when they nurture, they can really nurture well. So how do you get that team together? And how do you know the people you're working with? And also identifying yourself, where am I strong? And how then can I train myself to be strong and I become an all-round effective person? I submit.
Fantastic. Honestly, I really enjoyed listening to you. I like the story. I like the birther, nurturer, runner. And you know, that sometimes the finisher is really where we have a lot of challenges. And in Africa, I think we need more people who can take things to the finishing line. And yeah. I really enjoyed your conversation about how you got your job and how your first boss was instrumental in helping you build the right foundation in the oil and gas industry. And that goes to show the importance of mentoring, coaching, and supporting the next generation. And I mean, you've kind of told me what's very special. What's very special? So over the years in the oil and gas industry, what has been the most special aspect of your job that you enjoy the most, and where you think you create the most value? Is it by your talents, by your potential, by your qualifications? What is that sweet spot for you?
Okay, I think that is a multifaceted one. First of all, when I got the job of national content, where I have to make sure that Ugandans participate in the oil and gas sector. Yeah. I mean, it is a roller coaster because you have to understand all aspects of the job, what contracts are available, what jobs are going to be available. And then you have to be able to break down each contract, whether it is engineering, whether it is drilling, whether it is anything. You have to be able to break it down into the different components to see, okay, this is it a supply of a turbine, or is it a drilling contract? So in the drilling contract, what are the things that are going to be there, and who are the people that are going to be required to make those things happen? Yeah, and so you get all the way from, okay, a rig has to definitely be brought into the country. Okay, and then you look, okay, there's that logistics that needs to be done. Yeah, and then, okay, these guys, what kind of trucks are they going to use to transport it? Because Uganda is a landlocked country. So we have to transport stuff from either Mombasa or Dar es Salaam. And so you say, okay, what kind of transportation are we going to use? We are not going to use planes. We are going to ship it by sea and then get trucks to transport it. So what kind of trucks are required? Then who in the country has those kinds of trucks? And then you look at, okay, how many people are actually going to be needed for these drilling operations? And then you say, okay, there's the roustabouts that can be sourced locally, and then the others, but how do we get the Ugandans to understudy those professionals that are going to be doing whatever they are doing to be able to, then there's the fuel that is required to run the rigs. I mean, so you learn bit by bit, yeah? And then after a period of time, it becomes so natural that once a contract is there, even if somebody just talks about something new, you already know what. But what really helped me is that we carried out a study to identify capabilities within the country. And so whatever, but my biggest contribution has been on supplier development, being able to develop the Ugandan suppliers to make sure that they actually participate in the oil and gas sector. And that has been like something you just say, do, of course, focused and with purpose, that we have to train them on this, how to bid, the language, this whatever, how they've been bidding with normal Ugandan companies is not going to work. Many companies do not have HSE manuals and all that to provide. The certification they may have, yes, but what is required, the systematic way that bids are done in the oil and gas, and then how you go about doing everything. It has to be on that T, following every rule and regulation to that T, yeah? And this has to be input in your bidding documents. And somehow we reached a point where we would go for workshops. And I didn't even realize it until somebody mentioned it to me, that when we are there and say, oh, would like to thank Sinok, Talo Total, and Jessica. And I mean, my name was being mentioned next to these big brands. And it is not something that I intended to do, but I said Ugandans have to participate. So I purpose to have Ugandans to participate. And as part of the process, yeah, people are benefiting. Even now, as I am, people can even call me over the week. But the thing is, I purpose to help and support at all times. Yeah, like we've been training people, they have to register on the National Supplier Database to be able to get oil and gas contracts. When you're not on the National Supplier Database, because we need to monitor who is available, where has the money gone, what kind of value has been obtained in country. And so now somebody sees an advert in the newspapers, there's this contract, Total wants people to do this and this and that. And then the person starts running to you, hey, you know, we are supposed to register, and registration is free, it's done online. We are supposed to register, but now I don't remember how to do it or whatever. And you say, okay, let me send you the information and whatever. So you purpose to support people at all times. And also the internationals that want to set up shop here in Uganda, I also support them to make sure that they set up. And the manpower development to make sure that we develop other Ugandans that are outside my place of work, outside, you know, to make sure that they also participate in the oil and gas sector. And I think that is where I feel I have added value to the Ugandan economy in the oil and gas.
Fantastic. I actually, it resonates with me as well, because about 20, 25 years ago, I was involved in capacity, capability, and competence development in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. And that was after we had done a gap analysis and just bridging the gap and seeing Nigerians move into roles and play in the space where expatriates and foreigners had dominated in the past is a thing of joy for anybody who is involved in local content development. So well done, congratulations. And then I'll definitely come back to you on that.
Yeah,
so,
and also in addition, we want to take Ugandan suppliers to SIPEC this year. So they exposed, you know, exposure is everything. Exposure is everything. We have negotiated lower prices for them, and those who want to exhibit and those who want to just attend. So, but exposure to me, I think, is everything. You learn so much when you are exposed, and in Africa, definitely Nigeria is a place to reckon with. I mean, you guys have done a wonderful job. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what are your thoughts on diversity?
Oh, diversity is one of my babies, actually. Because even now, as we are planning for the UNOC at present, we are 100% Ugandans, but definitely we are planning to have 30% internationals for us to be able to have a mix and match of skills and also capacity. But it does not only stop there, it has to be also intentional, even in-house. Like, you don't necessarily have to look at expatriates and nationals, but diversity and inclusion can be looked at from different perspectives. Now there's the inclusion of women in areas that are male dominated, but there's also including men in areas that are female dominated. And when it comes like to STEM, you find that most of the STEM look mainly at IT, and they look at medicine, and they look at sort of like those clean, sort of like not seen masculine and dirty jobs where they know I can still wear my high heels and go to work, not to go to remote areas where you're away from family and whatever it is. So how do we enable the women and the young girls to be able to actually enjoy those remote places? Yeah. And so that inclusion side is like trying to make the workplace, even in the camps, comfortable. Can a mom come with her child if she's young, or do we leave her out until, all those kinds of things? But if she cannot be in the camp, can we then put them in a hotel that is close to the camp, so that she can at least be able to see her baby and with a babysitter and all those things, or be able, and I mean, these are logistics that have been made really complicated by COVID. But before COVID, it was really easy. Like, yeah, they can stay in a hotel close to the camp, and she would come in the morning, work, go back in the evening and be with her family. But now with COVID, it has become so complicated that place is isolated. People have to be isolated. You do not want any external interference. But now the question is, how we deal with those kind of scenarios now that we have COVID? And that is, I think, something we need. We are still struggling with. How do we make sure that we include, as opposed to saying, no, she's a young mom, she cannot go to the camp, and all those sorts of things. So, and I think these are the kind of things that we will need to find a different way of addressing, of course, with COVID. But before, it would be like, yes, because she's a young mother, she cannot be taken off her job because she has had the baby. So we have to find a way of accommodating her to be able to continue with the work in this male-dominated environment. But also in Uganda, we sort of like are trying much to bring the women up as a nation. We have our vice president is a lady. Up to last year, the speaker was a lady for over 10 years and Speaker of Parliament, but now the Deputy Speaker is a lady. The Minister of Energy is a lady. The Prime Minister is a lady, and the Deputy Prime Minister is a lady. And so you find that as a country, we are trying to bring women to include them. But of course, you find that there are so many areas where people sometimes think it is a glass ceiling, but many times women, we ourselves are actually the ones that put a ceiling on ourselves. How? Because you now look at, do I have my family? Do I still want to go for further education? Do I want to move out of the country? Do I want to leave my husband alone with the children? And so many times it is our nature as naturals in the home that makes us actually give up on some of those dreams. But if we have workplaces that can include that, okay, like if you're a mother, you're going to work in a remote place, there are nice hotels close, we'll have you and the maid go and we'll book you a hotel close to the facilities. You can always move in and move out, come spend that, which would be like the same way as it would be when you're working from office. And so those are kind of areas that we need to focus on to make sure that women are included. But like I told you about the truck driver ladies, we have been training truck drivers because now this is the first time like we are importing in oil and gas equipment, and for people that different types of trucks that are required to export this, whatever's like the rigs, like the, now we are going into construction, we expect 1,000 tons of material for the central processing facilities, the pipeline and all those things. And remember, I told you we are a landlocked country. So it has to travel long distances by road. And so training these truck drivers on how the monitoring systems and whatever's, what to do and all those things. And we have some ladies who are actually training, which to me is amazing. So we always try to make sure that we have slots for them, but also we are training welders. I mean, it's time that the country is going to need massive welders, and we always keep some slots for girls.
Wow, thank you so much. So I'm going to kind of hurry up a bit now. I want you to share with me, because I know you travel a lot. I've met you in Ghana, you've been to Nigeria, and I've seen you, so I know you travel a lot. Can you share one of your very funny experiences or unique experiences as a female professional traveling or going on an international trip?
Yeah, okay. I think one of the best places I've been to is Mauritius. I mean, I'm balancing between Bali, Indonesia, but I think the Mauritius experience was really, really awesome. Me, by the way, I love shopping. So when I go to a country, before I get there, I am going to stay and I'm looking, where do I go to shop? Yeah, because I want to experience different countries. And to me, I like architecture. Of course, I look at the different architecture, but my passion is shopping. I go to shops, I go to local markets. I want to get the feel of the country and take it home with me. Yeah. And so we went to this Indonesian, to Bali. Okay, let me do Mauritius, I think. Oh, Bali, let me do Bali. So in Bali, we had this beautiful, beautiful hotel. And you know, in Indonesia, there are people who speak very good English, but there is a big number of people who do not. So I was with this person, a lady also from Kenya. And so to her, it was the first time she's not adventurous per se. And so me, like, we get off the plane, we go to the hotel, and me, I say, okay, before we start the program tomorrow, let's go out shopping. And she was so scared that actually we are in a strange country, that I want to take a taxi to go to a market that had been told that actually that is a market where you find everything, because Bali is a producing country for export. So they say, yeah, everything for export, you find it at that market at a fraction of the price you buy it when you go to places like Dubai or wherever. And so me, that is, but to her, she was so scared. And now we arrived at this market. It is so huge. Yeah, but it has different like gates. So I'm looking at things, she's looking at things, and then eventually we say, okay, we were put at gate number 7. Let us move. The taxi guy will pick us from there in about 3 hours. And my God, she disappears from me. So in about 3 hours, I'm looking for her. I go to gate number 7. I don't find her. Fortunately, I didn't have her phone number. And oh my God, it was such a nightmare. But anyway, eventually, we had to ask the market to announce her name and tell her to come to the gate where we were. And we were lucky that the market had a public address system. Yeah. But then you'd say, okay, have you seen a girl who is black? Oh, we saw her. Of course, because she was one among many, they had seen her. But when we got to the market, the person who was so scared of going, when she reached there, she got excited. And that is how, but eventually we found her. And so we went back. And you know, to her, it was like, wow, this is so nice. When are we going again? And I told her, no, now, next time you are going alone. Yeah. But you know, she just got so excited. And at first she was so apprehensive. But what did we learn from that? That when you are moving with a person, just make sure you have their number, you can call them, or you don't actually leave each other. You just have to move together, so that if you get lost, you get lost together. If you are found, you're found together. But also the fact that when you're moving with somebody who does not think the way you think, yeah. Because you know me, when I go shopping to strange places, I always have a landmark. What is the landmark that I have to find when I'm getting out of these big places? You know, it's like the market in Nigeria, in Lagos, that, yeah, I've been to that, and you find a lot of things. Yeah, but you know, you have to get a landmark, that what is the place that I have to know that this is where I was dropped and this is where I'm getting a taxi from. So adventure is fun. I like it and I enjoy shopping. And so that is one story I can tell you.
Okay, thank you so much. We have just a few more minutes to go. So you can take any of these questions. How have you coped so well in your career, and your advice to a young girl who would like to be a Jessica in the next few years?
Well, the young girl who wants to be a Jessica needs to know that in this world, we were created as human beings, not human doings. That as you are working, you need to enjoy life as well. 2, go for jobs that you really like, for places that you really feel you want to add value. Otherwise, if you do not enjoy your work experience, you think work is a nightmare. And 3, really one thing I would like to tell young girls, that enjoy yourself, learn as much as you can from every job, and you can go from different sector to different sector and you will excel. Do not limit yourself to what you studied. Once you see an opportunity you want and you believe you have the skill to do it, go and do it. Because as a young girl, you still have a lot of time to make mistakes, to actually see the line of work you want to go in, and also to have confidence in self. I think that is also another area. Just believe in yourself that I can do. And because you know, the biggest challenge we have when a guy has 60% of the requirements for a job that is advertised, he'll go ahead and apply for it. For us girls, we want to have 100% before we apply for a job. So what you're telling the girls, don't ever underlook yourself. I can tell you a small example. There's a job that was advertised by Talo, and they wanted somebody who had 6 years of experience. And then only person who applied for that job was a person who had just graduated in that same field. And he was a guy, not a girl. The girls also all refused to apply, and they said, no, they want 6 years. We don't even have 2 years. Guess what happened? The guy got the job.
Wow.
And so that is, that don't ever look down on yourself. If you feel you can do something, even if you have 60% of what is required, go for it. The worst you can get is a no, but don't ever stop yourself from getting opportunities that allow opportunities to pass by you. When you get in there, you say, I have given myself an opportunity, but if you don't give yourself an opportunity, then you miss it out all.